Well, let's just have a look at this graph, and I think you see what I'm trying to say. You can see that illustrated on the graph, the latest model listed at the bottom of the page. From the least expensive, from the most expensive, sorry, I was right. From the least expensive to the most expensive, going from the left to right. We can see that as the model price rises, the problems increase. Well, this brings me to the end of my presentation. Don't know if this has been helpful, but I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Ken. Have a seat. Okay, so that's all three of you. I would like to thank you not only for preparing your short presentations, but for having the courage to stand up here and receive our critique. Okay, now I'd like to discuss how presenting feels. Ken, you went last, so why don't we start with you?
Terrible. I think it's quite obvious that I don't feel comfortable standing in front of a group. I get nervous, you know, as if everyone were looking at me, waiting for me to make a mistake, stumble over a word or something.
Thanks for being so specific, Ken. Michael, what about you?
Me? I feel great. In fact, I often feel a surge of energy right when I get up there that fuels me forward. I know that my job is to convince my audience that they want my product.
Thanks. Okay, and what about you, Lily?
Well, I don't particularly mind presenting, but I don't love it either. I tend to get a few butterflies, and depending on who's in the audience and how big it is, I get more or less nervous. Just now I felt fine.
Good. Okay, now I'd like to go back to the initial 4 elements. So, these elements essentially help you organize your presentation. By forming questions out of each of the subpoints and answering them, you will fully prepare yourself. You will know what you are doing, why you are doing it, and who you are doing it for. Please take one of these and pass them around. Another side note. Instead of passing handouts to your audience yourself, get them to do it. Again, you can provide additional information to your audience without losing focus on the topic at hand.
Question.
Yes.
Is this something that we can use over and over again for each new presentation?
Yes, exactly. Another side note. Ken just interrupted with a question. Because this interruption does not disturb my flow, I'll answer it. If, however, I found it disruptive, it would be perfectly acceptable to say, "Can you please hold your question until the end?" Okay, now I'd like to focus your attention on the next point. I call this the top 10 simple rules to follow. Rule number 1, know your PAL. Any idea what PAL stands for? Well, P is for purpose, A is for audience, and L is for logistics, which means making sure all your technical equipment is ready and in working order. Our next rule is about timing. The trick to timing is always to plan for 75% of the time you are allotted. Why do you think I'm telling you to underplan rather than overplan?
May I? Well, first of all, things often get started a little late. But aside from that, no matter how interesting your presentation is, no one seems to mind if you end a bit early. But if you end late, well, no one is too thrilled about missing out on some of their lunch hour.
Exactly right. And if you expect questions and audience involvement, you can even plan on only using 50% of that time. By the way, not to worry. As soon as we are through the top 10, we will be breaking for lunch.
Good.
Number 3, keep it relevant. What do I mean by that?